Hey, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of the John Morris Show. So I'm going to be upfront with you on this one. I read about this the other day. Don't ask me how I even got thinking about this, but I read about this the other day, and literally just wanted to figure out a way to work it into to an episode. So you have to bear with me a little bit, but there is a point here. So have you ever heard the saying, blowing smoke up your behind? Now, I'm sure you've probably heard that in some form or fashion, blowing smoke up your butt, whatever. Anyway, like I said, somehow I got to thinking about it the other day, and when I really sat down and was like thinking about it, I thought, well, that's a weird freaking saying. Like, where does that come from? I knew what it meant, but I'm like, how did we get to that saying or that idiom, to be technical, meaning what it means? So in case you don't know what it means, the technical definition is it's a figure of speech that means one person is complimenting another insincerely most of the time in order to inflate the ego of the individual being flattered. Now, a lot of times today it's used just to mean more just simple lying or bragging. But like I said, it sort of begs the question, how in the world did those two things get connected? Well, I looked it up because that's what I do. And apparently blowing smoke up people's backsides used to be a real thing. It was a common medical procedure back in, I think it was like the mid to late 1800s. And it was used particularly to resuscitate drowning victims. In fact, the very first recorded use of it was a husband who stuck his pipe up his wife's behind and blew in it in order to bring her back after she drowned. And it actually worked, although maybe not in the way that you might think, because it was actually the embers going up her backside that created that woke her up. I can imagine how the rest of that day went for him, but it did actually work, and it was so popular that they used to keep the equipment to do it next to major waterways, and people were expected to know where that equipment was and how to use it. Yeah. So this was actually a thing, and then it started catching on as being a medical treatment for all sorts of other things like tended to happen back then. And frankly, I'm not sure what's worse, the drowning or the being brought back. Then, of course, as usually happens, some nerd figured out that tobacco is actually bad for you, and the practice of issuing tobacco enemas quickly fell out of favor, thank God. Anyway, I bring all this up, because like I said, I just wanted to. But I bring all this up because I imagine some of you probably think that I'm puffing smoke rings up your backside when I talk about my method of creating online courses. That I'm tooting my own horn or fluffing my own pillows or tickling my own. We'll leave that one alone. But it is definitely a fine line between giving you the proper information and flopping over into swinging around my you-know-what. But the point that I want to make is I'm not just making it up. So I want you to take these for example. This is from Chad, who said, the course is jam-packed with examples, tips, and action steps. Proof positive that John Morris is a freaking pro. Get some, y'all. John has a very unique way of seeing what motivates people, not always money, and how to please others while earning a nice living doing that. He constantly provides new content, and his instruction ranges from beginner to advanced to CEO level guidance. I've referred friends and clients to John and have encouraged my own daughter to pay attention to what he says, and that comes from Scott. John has been a part of my developer journey since day one. Always been great, but this course was over the top as far as new ideas, resources, and content. Thanks, John. That comes from Violet. And then from Jan, for me, the biggest challenge is to figure out outcome service for the customer, the service the customer understands he needs and is searching for. Your class helped me to do the important research and the technicalities to narrow it down, which was really helpful. Thank you. And then finally from Andy, John Morrison is exceptional in his ability to give focused insight into freelancing and starting one's business. His direct methods inspire confidence in his honesty. So these are a small selection of just testimonies that I plucked out from some of my courses. I literally have hundreds of these, so I could go on forever if I wanted, but I think you sort of get the point, which is I'm not blowing smoke when I say that you can create a really valuable course. I have a method to show you how to do that. And None of this is by accident. There's a reason why almost all of my courses have a 90+% satisfaction rate, which is almost heard of given the topics that I cover. And it's not that I'm just some great, amazing person, right? It's just I figured some stuff out. That's really all it comes down to. Having created as many courses as I've had and my experience in military teaching, I've figured some things out. I've done live face-to-face teaching, just like I've done live face-to-face sales. That gives you, admittedly, a little bit of a leg up when you dive into this side of things because you've actually worked one-on-one with students or worked one-on-one with customers. So the point is that all of this isn't by accident. It's planned. And there's a method that I figured out for creating depth and cramming so much value into a course that students can't help but walk away with tons of new insights and ideas and feel almost overwhelmed with value in a good way, in a way that leads to reviews like the ones above. And here's the thing. This is really the dirty little secret to virtually every popular course that you've seen and the kind of automatic income that people talk about when it comes from online courses. It's nothing magic or whiz bang or any of that. It's just simple word of mouth, especially in the social media driven world that we live in. So what happens is someone takes your course, they're over the moon about how great it is. They can't help but talk about it. I've done this about courses. I've taken some great courses that I can't help talk about. You can ask my little brother. Sometimes when I take a course, I talk his ear off about it because it's so good. That's what happens. They're over the moon. They start talking about it. They start talking about it on social media. You've probably heard me talk about people that I've taken courses from, again, that I have got tons of value from. And so that happens, and that now those people become interested in what you do. That brings you more students. Those students get a ton of value. They spread the word, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just feeds on itself. And if it's done right, what you end up with is a course that just grows and grows over time without necessarily a ton of input on your side. Now, obviously, the more marketing you do, the better, right? But you want to create a course that in and of itself is designed to grow. It's so valuable that it's designed to create word of mouth, and it'll do that on your own. That makes all of your marketing so much easier, and it makes it where there's a good chance it'll blow up when you put it on a site like Udemy or Skillshare, because that's what those sites are designed to do. They're designed to elevate the best courses. So, for example, that's why I dominate the PHP niche on Skillshare. I have the top 5, last I looked, the top 5 ranked courses for the PHP niche over on Skillshare. So, again, this all might sound like me slinging smoke enemas at you, but that's not the point. The point is that it's all deliberate. It can all be planned and controlled. And you just need 2 things. And I sort of mentioned these, but one is you need to know how to create intellectual depth in your course. Intellectual depth in your course. And then you need to know what actually constitutes value to a student. And for me, that's come from the feedback that I've gotten over the years of good courses maybe people didn't like so much, and figuring out what was it that made people like a course. There's some very specific things, some things that are maybe a little bit counterintuitive, especially judging by what I see on YouTube and blogs and those sorts of things. The things that they talk about are not the things that I've gotten from actual students, both my online courses and when I was teaching in the military. The feedback that I would get from students who went over and then came back, and the things that they would tell me. So there are some very specific things that constitute value. And again, I'll just show you what those are, right? And then once you know them, then it's simple. You can provide them inside of your course. So it's sort of like having the contra code. Once you know those 2 things, you don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to be insecure about whether your course is valuable. You know exactly what to do. And that's really the point, me just sharing everything that I've learned over the years. Anyway, I could go on and on about this for days. I've spent close to a decade obsessing over it day in and day out. This is actually what I think about most on a day in, day out basis, and building my business around courses, which I've told you that's what I started doing a while back for a number of different reasons. But the biggest one is because of how much leverage it gives you, right? We talked about this. Create a course once, profit from it forever. It's not tied to the amount of time that you put it in. Okay, and that can free you up to then, make money in your sleep, quote unquote, right? But it really is true. You can do that. And that's what courses allow you to do, unlike freelancing. So the amount of leverage that you create and the amount of freedom that it can create for you, especially for freelancers, because you're already an expert on the topic that you're freelancing on, right? You already have spent a bunch of time learning that. You already have a ton of knowledge and insight on it. So you're already positioned, and you probably already have some authority. Right? You probably already have a portfolio and some testimonials and people who know you and maybe a name in your niche. And even if you don't, if you're brand new, you're going to be creating all of that to freelance. Why not add this other revenue stream right away that can help you to get to be able to run your own business full time faster so you can spend more time on it, and also will actually help to create some of that authority that will help you in your freelance career. So again, I could go on. I really truly believe in this. This is why I do it myself. It's why it's, probably 80% of my business at this point. Because I really truly believe it. But ultimately, it's up to you to figure out what flavor of smoke enema you prefer. If you would like to learn my method of course creation, you'll find it in my Sane Course Creation course, which is 80% off at the moment. However, that is a limited time deal. I'm putting emphasis on this because I get people on the Skillshare side. I got a comment the other day from somebody who pretended like they didn't know. I'm making it very clear. It's a limited time deal. It goes away on Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is August 7th, 2021 at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want it, you need to get it before then, and your time is running out. After that, it's going to cost you $100 plus to get it. Anyway, if that at all interests you, you can learn more about the course and the deal at myjohn.us/sane. Again, that's myjohn.us/SANE. I'll drop a link in the description as well. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time.